I'm Rob King, Senior Vice President of Original Content at ESPN. I oversee storytelling writ large, so everything from documentaries to small interviews. I create content for our direct-to-consumer product, ESPN Plus. So that means working with folks like Peyton Manning and Kevin Durant and LeBron James. But by and large, what we do is try to tell stories that are going to engage audiences and really separate ESPN from all competitors where concerns covering sports. When I first started overseeing ESPN.com, it became clear that I couldn't do it just from the standpoint of being a content manager. I was responsible also for the product and the development of the product. And the difference between the digital space and television and newspapers where I started is with newspapers, you got your ratings twice a year, and that was basically circulation numbers. Television, you get it every 15 minutes. And in the digital space, you got your ratings every time you looked, every second. So it became really clear to understand that in real time we were getting information that was telling us how successful we were in serving our audiences and giving us clues as to ways in which we could anticipate ways to serve our audiences better. I guess that's a backwards way of walking into what people currently call business analytics. This is really about real-time listening to the audience. I have an array of people. I have people who are writers, I have people who are designers, people who develop films. We work very closely with folks who spend time thinking about our audiences, when audiences come, how long they stay with specific kinds of content. I have folks who are largely project managers who take a big idea and make sure all the component parts are happening to deliver when they're supposed to deliver, because, you know, in our world, the 6 o'clock Sports Center goes on at 6 o'clock. And I have a lot of just very creative folks who are thinking about new ways of telling stories, irrespective of platform. So that can mean that we first identify a story and groups of people who are interested in kinds of stories to tell, and then we start thinking about form and where people might best consume them. So I have folks who are focused on podcasting, and I have folks who are focused on feature-length films. Well, I think first of all, we focus on our audience. We focus on what our audiences are telling us, because that's the surest path towards staying relevant to them. And in some cases, that means that every little thing we do is a clue as to how to be better the next time. We do headline testing. We will create a subset of folks who are coming to our digital platforms and giving them different glimpses into ways in which you could phrase a headline, and then the most popular one wins, and that'll be the one that everybody sees a few hours into the test. We spend a lot of time seeing how folks actually self-select the content they want on our site. So we know that there are 4.1 million Yankees fans who have registered with our sites, and we know there are 48,000 Ottawa Senators fans. And that doesn't mean that we treat the Ottawa Senators with disdain. It just means that we know that there are smaller opportunities, fewer opportunities to score big with them. Whereas, you know, where it's the Yankees or the Dallas Cowboys or the Golden State Warriors, we're addressing a mass audience. And then we also spend a lot of time strategizing ways to surprise people, because if all you did was just give them the meat and potatoes, you wouldn't differentiate yourself from other folks who are covering sports or covering major news. And so we spend a lot of time parsing through success metrics around those unusual moments. Time spent with content, the amount of visits to the content that come through social referrals. Do we create something that people want to talk about and share with others? And I think that's just scratching the surface. I mean, by and large, we are sports fans ourselves. We spend a lot of time listening to sports fans wherever they are, whether they're interacting with an Instagram post or whether they're railing at one of our writers on Twitter. And we get out into the world, and when we're out there interviewing folks or when we're out there wearing an ESPN swag, people will tell us what they're thinking. In the realm of sports, data collection isn't really that hard from your audiences, because in the realm of sports, they're either cheering or they're booing. There's no middle ground. And so in that respect, we take everything we can. We take real-time analytics that come to us through our products, and then really anecdotal stuff that we get directly from our audiences. I think the most important thing is to figure out what problem you're solving. And in our world, we have one problem we're trying to solve. We want to serve sports fans anytime, anywhere. That's it. So that means that can take us into all forms of content depending on how people are spending their time with our content. It can mean when we want to reach broader audiences, going to places where they are and figuring out ways in which we can show up in those domains, whether it's a Snapchat filter or whether it's Tribeca Film Festival, in a way that is authentic, in a way that they expect to be interacted with. But we have our North Star to serve sports fans anytime, anywhere. It starts with knowing that. What problem are you trying to solve? It's my first time to the Alabama campus, and I am so impressed. I'm a little shamefaced because I'm a member of ESPN's Southeast Conference Content Committee, and I have been to many of the other 14 campuses. Highly ironic that the first time I come to Tuscaloosa is for an analytics symposium as opposed to a football game. I think I'm going to try to catch up on that other end too.